Jess Murphy, traffic support technician. I've been working here for just under 2 years. Well, the best way to explain to my friends is I make signs. The street signs, the directional signs, whatever sign you see in town, it probably came from me. Well, it depends on the sign, really. Like the street signs, there's no pattern. So you basically create it from nothing to what you see on metal. Cut it, it's probably about 4 different steps. You create it and you cut it on the plotter, weed it out, transfer tape, and then you roll it on the metal. So you gotta make it fit and you gotta make it look proportional. I mean, you could slap it on there and then it's totally off. And you can tell, you know, whenever you do it for a while, you can tell by just eyeballing it what looks proportionate, and you can measure it. If they don't get stolen or ran over, they can last probably about 4 years, maybe longer. What will happen is the reflectivity on them will start to fade. The sunlight and the heat will take the reflectivity off. And the longer they're out there, the less reflective they get. And once they fail the reflectivity test, then it's time to replace them. So that's what we're doing now. We're replacing a lot of signs that are losing the reflectivity. Basically, the only thing the reflectivity is so you can see it at night. When your headlights hit the sign, the high intensity will reflect back to you. So the blank itself is all reflective. It's all high intensity. And I put a green, like for street signs, I put a green overlay on the sign. And that's what you see as the lettering, with the street name. And so they will reflect around the green. So what you see is the background. But in the daylight, you see the green. So you can read it in the daylight, and then at night when the headlights hit it, you read the back of it. The guys that I work with, we're like a family here. You know, we all have our own families, but we spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week with the guys here. So, you know, we become very close. And we all know our jobs. So it's once you get in your rhythm, you know, you like coming into work. I mean, the workday starts early, but I mean, once you get going, it's very enjoyable. And then before you know it, it's time to go home. But I can't narrow it down to one thing I like the most. How much work actually goes into it? How much work it takes to be able to replace a sign? It's not just, hey, that sign doesn't look very nice, let's go ahead and replace it. And then it's done. I mean, it takes a lot more than just that. Because it's not just a sign that's gonna look bad, it's gonna be the pole that looks bad, or if there's a stop or a yield sign attached to that street sign, that's probably gonna look bad. So you have to replace the whole thing. And replacing the whole thing, there's a lot of different steps involved in replacing just one sign. I think that would surprise people the most. I like to spend time with my wife, and I have 2 daughters, one's 5 and one's 4 months old. So I try to spend a lot of time with them, play with them, and just be there. You know, I play some video games here and there. I'm on a softball team. Just anything to find leisure, really. My wife is getting tired of me telling her, hey, look, I made that sign. She said, okay, I know you made that sign. Because every time we pass a sign that I've made, I tell her, hey, I made that sign. But I mean, just because you're off the clock doesn't mean you stop thinking about your job. That's how I am. I'll drive around town with my wife if we've got to go somewhere, and I'll see signs that, you know, might need replaced, or signs that I know that I have replaced, or signs I know I made. Because I'm at that point now where I've either installed a new sign or I've created a new sign. So now I know where I've been and I know what signs I've put up. And then even my 5-year-old daughter, Daddy, did you make that sign? So I mean, whenever my 5-year-old knows what I do and she asks me, I mean, that makes me happy, you know, because then I know somebody, you know, outside of the city where I work, they appreciate what I do, like my child, by numbers and by results. I'm strictly a numbers and results person. So if I'm falling behind, I'm not succeeding. But if I'm keeping pace with the holes, or if I'm even ahead of the pace, well, then I call that a success. Or, for instance, whenever I create a sign from absolutely nothing, that, hey, we have an idea for this sign, what can you put together to, you know, make what I'm looking for? Then I put together a sign, and then they like it, and then it goes up, I'm definitely proud of that, because I know that the sign that is out there now, there was nothing like that before. And then I use my thoughts and my brain to create something that everybody in town can see.